today we are going to start with the introduction of the upper limb. So first of all we'll discuss it how the upper limb is divided. The upper limb is divided into the shoulder region, the arm or the brachium, the forearm or the antebrachium and the hand region. The shoulder region includes the axilla or the armpit, the scapular region, and this is the pectoral region. These are the shoulder includes the axilla or the armpit, this the scapular region, and this is the pectoral region. The major bones located here are, this is the clavicle, this is the clavicle, and here posteriorly there is scapula. Now the major bony marks here are, this is the manubrium sterni and you can see this notch, this is suprasternal notch, and laterally we can see this bony landmark, this is acromion process of the shoulder joint. Now this is the suprasternal notch, and laterally here we can see this is the acromion process of the scapula which is articulating with this lateral end of the clavicle forming acromioclavicular joint. Medially the clavicle is articulating with the manubrium sterni to form sternoclavicular joint. Now this sternoclavicular joint helps in the transmission of weight from the appendicular skeleton to the axial skeleton. The next region is the arm. The arm is the part in between the shoulder and the elbow, or the elbow is also known as the cubitus. The major bone located in this region is the humerus, which will articulate with the scapula at its glenoid cavity at the shoulder joint. Okay. The next is the forearm. The forearm or the antebrachium, it extends from the elbow to the wrist. Its bones, the bone of this forearm region is the radius and the ulna. The radius is located laterally and the ulna is located medially. These two bones are articulating with the lower end of the humerus at the elbow. The lower end of the radius will articulate with the proximal row of the carpal bones to form the wrist joint. Now the radius and the ulna also articulate with each other at the superior and inferior radioulnar joint, thereby causing the movement, pronation and supination. Now this wrist region, in this wrist region there are located two rows of the small carpal bones. One is the proximal row and one is the distal row. The proximal row, from the lateral to medial sides there are four bones, that is scaphoid, lunate, triquetral and pisiform. In the distal row there is trapezium, trapezoid, capitate and hamate. We have 5 metacarpals. The base of the metacarpal is articulating with the distal row of the carpals, and the head of the metacarpal is articulating with the proximal phalanx of the fingers. So in thumb we have only two phalanx, that is proximal phalanx and distal phalanx, while in these three fingers we have proximal, middle and distal phalanx. Therefore in total we have 14 phalanges. So this is the palmar surface of the hand and this is the dorsal surface of the hand. Here on this thumb side we can see the eminence. This eminence is known as thenar eminence, which is due to the muscles of the thumb, and just opposite to it we can see another, this is the hypothenar eminence, which is because of the muscles of the this little finger. On this dorsal aspect, so this is the dorsal aspect of the hand. Here we can see the bony landmarks. These bony landmarks are the knuckles. These represent the head of the various metacarpals. Now grossly representing this upper limb, we can see that this surface of the limb is known as the ventral surface, or it represents the flexor compartment. This represents the flexor compartment of the arm, and it represents the flexor compartment of the forearm. When we see here the dorsal aspect, this represents the dorsal aspect of the limb. It is representing the extensor muscles of the arm, and here the extensor muscles of the forearm. Next we come to this region. This region is the region of the axilla or the armpit. It is fully appreciated when the arm is abducted. Now it is pyramidal in shape. The apex is directed upwards and lies lateral to the clavicle, and base is formed by the skin. When the arm is abducted, the anterior and posterior walls are fully appreciated easily, forming the anterior axillary fold and the posterior axillary fold. Now some important structures are present here, that is the axillary vessels and the brachial plexus. The brachial plexus is coming from the neck and passes through the limb through this region, that is the axilla. Now this anterolateral chest wall is known as the pectoral region. This pectoral region consists of three muscles, that is, most superficially will come the pectoralis major, beneath the pectoralis major comes the pectoralis minor, and here just beneath this clavicle we can see one smaller muscle, that is the subclavius muscle. Now we come to the incision points for the dissection. The first point we are going to take is the suprasternal notch. First point we are going to mark here. The next we go to see the weight process. Next we will mark a circle around these nipples and we'll join these lines. Another point here is the acromion process. Then we'll join the suprasternal notch and this acromion process. Now we'll cut through this midline and we'll reflect these flaps later. To expose this region, which includes the muscles and the nerves and vessels of the pectoral region.